My first real exposure or understanding was with the gentleman who's also joined us today, Doug Mervyn. I went to work at Alkali Lake Ranch at a young age, and one of the first things I did, I still remember, was going out with Doug, and our mission was to kill bull thistle. And it's like, you know that saying, damn the torpedoes? In this case, it was like, damn the truck, as we went bouncing down these roads and over stumps and the things we did to find those bull thistle. But I remember learning that, yeah, these weeds are something that a good rancher, a good steward of the land, wants to be on top of. You want to do your part. So that was my first exposure, and I kind of developed this appreciation of the importance of managing or treating or controlling those weeds on range lands when I was working on some other ranches. And I noted that, you know, most of the big ranches had pretty good programs for dealing with weeds. And then in the early 2000s, financial pressures, there was funding cuts and program changes, and all of a sudden nobody was really looking after the weeds. So we ended up with this summit, I think, in Williams Lake, and we got all these people together, First Nations and government agencies and ranchers, some environmental groups and so on, and we talked about, what are we going to do? We got to have some funding, we got to have some coordination, we got to deal with this problem. And it was like herding cats. The independent nature of agricultural practitioners, I think, makes it very difficult to get them all working together on the same page on these things. And we would get totally bogged down in just, you know, what do we call these? Are they aliens or non-natives or invasives or noxious? And you wouldn't believe how much discussion we had about just what we call it. Not to mention, which tools do you use to actually deal with these things? You know, the mechanical, the biological, the chemical, the dreaded chemical, and the cultural practices. So a lot of discussion over things like that really had very little to do with anything on the ground, but they were necessary to get people on the same page. And I always think, why is it so tough to get people working together on this in BC? And this is just my theory, but we have a tremendous amount of diversity. We have diversity in geography and climate and flora and fauna. So it's very easy for everyone in the province to have a different focus, a different thing that they're concerned about, they're interested in. We realized that if we're just focusing on the plant side of it, we're missing what's going on with the animal side and the insects and so on, and huge issues there. Zebra mussels were one of the first. So we started talking about changing to becoming the invasive species, and I think that also helped us to get more recognition standing federally, because the federal government was moving in that direction. And really looking back, it's just kind of common sense. We still need people who are kind of focused on the plant side, but as a council, I thought that embracing invasives as a whole made sense. We don't have an invasive problem, we have a people problem. I think most people in the room understand that. It's us that cause these problems. And just some sort of lessons that I've learned, we're never going to have enough money to deal with the problem after the fact, so we got to focus on the prevention part. We have to work together, and we have to have structures to hold each other accountable and responsible. And I wanted to say a little bit about these, something my daughter taught me. She wants to be a vet, so she's doing all this highfalutin science stuff now. But she was telling me when I was wondering about, I was talking to her about my career as an agrologist and where it's gone, and she said, don't worry, Dad, you know, the immortality is really defined as having surviving progeny, you know. And so I thought, well, damn, that's really saying something, because like the zebra mussel is the closest, the immortal zebra mussel, is that what we're talking about, you know? So what we need to do is treat our resources with care and respect, so that, you know, Mother Nature, the Creator, God, doesn't have to call in the invasives. That's how I look at it.